So a couple days ago, we had a request for hips. So we might focus on that a little bit. Um, but if there are not any other requests, we will get started. Let's start in maybe a slightly different pose. We're going to start in Prasarita. And so take your legs wide. Maybe plant your hands on the mat. Drop that head if it feels good. You might find some movement here in this position. Or you might find a little bit of stillness. Think about folding forward with a flat back. Maybe letting your neck hang heavy. You might walk your hands in slightly towards your feet. You might draw your hips over your feet a little bit more as well. Just kind of warming up our legs. You might rise up on your toes. Whatever feels good. Maybe shift your weight from side to side, bending one knee at a time. Just warming up your legs. Take a couple more breaths here. Eventually lowering into a right side Skandasana. So bending that right knee. Take those left toes to the sky. You might use your arms to stabilize you right now. Just feeling out this movement. Maybe you have a little bit of rocking motion in here. Maybe you have stillness. You might shift sides, going to the left leg, bending the left leg, bringing those right toes to the sky. That feels good. Maybe you switch sides once again. Getting a nice stretch in the extended leg. Eventually finding your way in that left Skandasana. So that left bend in that knee, extending through that right leg. Take a few moments here. And then jet up to that Prasarita position once again, extending fully through both of your legs. Maybe plant your hands. Inhale, gaze out long, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. You might bend your knees, taking this into a goddess pose, resting your elbows on the inside of your knees, pressing your knees out. Or you might take your hands to heart center, thinking about tucking that tailbone underneath the body. And then inhaling the arms up, stepping that foot up to the top of your mat, bringing your arms to your side, Samasthiti. Inhale, reach those arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, gaze out long, flat back. Exhale, point the hands and step the feet back. Coming to a high plank position. Exhale, chaturanga down. Inhaling to an up dog. Exhaling, take it back to a downward dog. Thinking about sending that tailbone tall to the sky. Broaden through those shoulders, tucking the elbows underneath the body. Thinking about drawing that chest towards the thighs. Creating that long, flat back. You might even pedal out your feet here in this position if that feels good. Take a few moments. We're going to bring our knees down to the floor now, taking it to a tabletop position. Wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Drop that belly down, taking the chin up. Inhale, round to the back, draw the belly button up and in, tuck that chin. Exhale, drop the belly. Inhale, draw it in. Take a few rounds of this at your own pace. Feeling out this movement, listening to your body. You might even venture off, taking big hip swivels. Or maybe dropping the chin, adding the neck into it. Whatever feels good for you. Loosening up that spine. Connecting each movement to your breath. Take a couple more moments here. Eventually tucking those toes, sending those hips to a downward dog once again. Thinking about finding length. Then dropping into a bear position. We're gonna take our knees and hover them 1 inch above the air. So shifting forward slightly, taking those knees, hovering them. Just building some heat, keeping strong through the arms. Take a few more breaths here. Eventually re-extending into that downward dog. Inhale, we're gonna reach that right leg up to the sky, bringing it forward to a low lunge, dropping that back left knee. You might take your hands to your thigh, bringing that belly button up and in, applying a little bit of pressure back, tucking that tailbone. Or you might take your arms up and out, cactusing them out, or maybe interlacing the arms behind you if that feels nice. Take a couple more breaths here. Really stretching that left hip flexor. Planting those hands, shift the hips back to a half split just for a brief moment. You may take a big circle with those right toes. Eventually coming back forward, take that leg back and take a vinyasa at your own pace. Meeting in a downward dog, connecting each movement to your breath. When you find yourself in that downward dog, once again, finding length here. Take a few breaths. Once again, dropping those knees to that bear position, hovering them for a brief moment. 1 inch above the ground, just building some more heat. Staying strong through the upper back and core, drawing that belly button up and in. Strong arms, energy flowing through the floor, up through your body. And re-extending to a downward dog. Inhale, reach that left leg to the sky, bringing it forward, low lunge. Drop that back right knee. Bringing those hands to wherever is comfortable. Tucking that tailbone and thinking of sending the hips forward and down. Drawing that belly button up and in. Eventually planting the hands, send the hips back half split. For a brief moment, take that left toe, make a circle with it if that feels good. And then maybe re-extend out, taking your hands by your side, taking that foot back, and take a vinyasa at your own pace. Once again, connecting your movement to your breath. Eventually finding yourself in a downward dog. On your next inhale, reach that right leg to the sky, bring it forward to a pigeon position. So you're gonna take that right shin, try to get it parallel with the top of your mat, and letting your hips find an even spot between your left side and your right side. So keeping your weight balanced, you're gonna inhale, lift, exhale, forward fold. You might rest your head on your arms or your mat, whatever feels good. Giving that right hip a nice stretch. We're gonna be here for a little bit, so enjoying this moment, sending breath throughout your body. Maybe your breath has a color as it swirls throughout your body, sending that energy to your hip. Letting that tension release. You might start to let your exhales be a little bit longer than your inhales. Taking a couple more breaths here. Eventually walking those hands back up. We're gonna bring that left knee in, tucking it right by our hip. And we're gonna lower back onto our elbow, stretching that left hip or left thigh. You might option to lower all the way down to your back if that feels good. Giving that left thigh a nice stretch, keeping that left foot tucked in by your hip, protecting the knee. Sending lots of breath throughout your body. If you're ready to move, feel free to come up. Gently planting those hands. Take the feet back. Taking a vinyasa once again. Connecting your breath to your movement. You might take this slow or fast. Eventually meeting in a downward dog. You find yourself in a downward dog. Inhale, reach that left leg to the sky. Bringing it forward to a pigeon on the left side. Once again, finding that even weight distribution between your right hip and left hip. Inhaling, lengthen. Exhaling, forward fold. Once again, letting your exhales be a little bit longer than your inhales. Sending that oxygen throughout your body. Releasing the tension from the hip. Relaxing the face. Letting gravity take you to the floor. Take a couple more breaths. Eventually coming up. Eventually and tucking that right foot right by that hip, lowering onto the elbows. Maybe even all the way to the back. Letting that right thigh stretch out. Taking a few breaths here, remembering to relax, releasing that tension. Take a couple more breaths. Eventually, wiggling that leg out from underneath you, you might come up, or you might just wiggle it out to a position on your back. Coming here, you might take your feet in close to your hips and windshield wiper your knees back and forth. That feels nice. Maybe drawing your knees into your chest. You might massage out each inch of your back. Maybe taking the knees down, massaging out the upper hips. Or simply just rocking side to side. Eventually, we're going to take that right leg, place it over the left in a figure four position. So planting that left foot. And we're going to just let our weight take it out to the left. So dropping that right foot to the floor. Just a simple twist in this figure four position. Letting that right hip stretch. And just breathing here. Eventually come back up. Take the leg net down. You might windshield wipe your knees back and forth, releasing the back slightly. And then taking that left leg on top of the right, figure four position. At that right foot right by your hip, and then drop the leg over. Giving a spinal twist on this left side, giving the left hip a good stretch. Let your exhales be twice as long as your inhales. Eventually bringing that leg back up. And then bringing both the knees into the chest. You might extend out to a happy baby, grabbing the outer edges of the feet, maybe rocking side to side, massaging out that lower back. Feel free to do anything else to prepare you for your final pose, Shavasana. If you're ready, extend both your legs out, taking those palms up to the sky, tucking those shoulder blades underneath you, maybe adjusting any article of clothing or hair. Just to begin to relax fully in this position. Starting with your feet. Coming up through your legs and hips. Sending it throughout your core and chest. Relaxing fully. Relaxing your arms and face. Shavasana. Start to deepen your inhales and exhales. Maybe starting to wiggle your fingers and toes. You might take a big inhale, reaching your arms overhead, making your way to your favorite side. Eventually coming up to a seated position. Bringing your hands to heart center. Close your eyes and take a big inhale through your nose, filling your lungs. And exhaling out your mouth. Once again, inhaling fully. And exhaling out your mouth. One more big inhale. And exhaling. Awesome job today, guys. Happy Friday. Namaste. Awesome job. Thank you for coming today, guys. So good to see you all. Have a great weekend.